Okay guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be restoring the Tamiya Super Champ. Now I picked this thing up a little while ago and it is in a rough state at the moment, and so let's take a closer look at it. So let's have a closer look at the front end now, and as you can see, the tie rods here are developing some rust. It's obviously had some moisture on. It's been probably sitting around the garage for years. Front tires are shot. Who knows how bad the suspension is? We won't know until we start pulling it apart. So looking at the mid part of the car now, as you can see, the receiver here, it's had some sort of rubber bag on it that is melted, and it's melted on the actual fiberglass itself. The battery retainer thing is shot. I don't know about if the switch works. The servos are probably no good. I'm really hoping this speed controller works. So let's move to the back. Okay, so moving to the back end of the car now. It's really greasy, dirty, grimy. It's probably, like I said, been sitting around the garage for years. The rear tires are absolutely shot. They're just rotten. I don't know if the motor works. I don't know what the gearbox is like inside, but we'll take a look anyway. So the car also came with a really old school battery pack. We'll have to test it out, see if it still holds a charge. And it came with a bag of spare parts. There's not really much in here. I might be able to use a couple of things, I'm not sure yet. So the car also came with the original body as well. Now I've got to be very gentle with it, and it is snapped off here, and is also snapped off onto the other side as well. So the only thing holding this rear end on is these two roll bars at the moment, so I have to be very gentle. Now I'm planning to restore the body. Hopefully I can get the original stickers for it, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty confident we should be able to fix this, give it a new spray paint job, and I think we can get it to come up real nice. Alright, so where to now? What we're going to do is we're going to strip this car back. We're going to pull out every nut, every bolt, every screw. We're going to clean everything. We're going to replace all the broken parts, and we're going to put it back together. So let's get started. So I started to pull the car apart, and at the beginning I was saying that this is probably a melted rubber bag, but it's actually it's paint. So this receiver was sitting there and some paint must have been dripping on it for a while. So I won't be using this again, which doesn't matter, but getting the paint off the fiberglass now should be quite an easy task. So the only thing I'm going to salvage from this receiver is the old crystal. Alright, so I started stripping the car down now, and what I'm doing is separating everything out. So I've got nuts and bolts, I've got the steering tie rod arms in this one at the moment, plastic parts, alloy parts, just separate everything out. Alright, so I've almost stripped the gearbox down now, and I got a nice little surprise when I went to take the motor out. It was actually an old Black Endurance motor. So I'm hoping that this thing still works, and we'll get some old school retro power. Alright, so I have finally finished stripping down the Super Champ, and here it is in all its glory. So there's nothing left to do now except I'm going to get some degreaser, pour some degreaser into these trays, use some sort of brush, maybe an old toothbrush or something, to clean up every part and get them back to clean again with no grease on it. Now if we have a closer look at the gearbox here, you can see there are just layers and layers of dirt on there that need to come off and grit. The inside is actually pretty good, and the inside is the sort of finish that I'm trying to achieve here on the outside of the gearbox. So everything now has been degreased, cleaned and washed and wiped down, and it's back to its original state now. Now if we take a closer look here at the gearbox, you can see it has actually come up quite nicely, I believe, from what it was like. And I've taken bits like these aluminium pieces and got the Dremel out and used the wire wheel attachment of the Dremel, and I've just given everything a hit over it, and they've come up quite nicely. Now the little tie rod arms, they had a lot of surface rust on them. They've actually turned out quite nicely as well. The wire wheel has taken all the surface rust and done a very good job. Alright, so I've got a copy here of the original Super Champ instruction manual, and simply a matter now of just reassembling the car. So just starting the gearbox now, you can see that I won't be using the brass bearings. I've decided to go with brand new bearings for the entire job. So the gearbox is almost done now, and it's come time now to install the motor. Now the black endurance motor that came with this car, I've decided not to go with this, so I've cut the plugs off and removed it from the plastic case. Now I've got a brand new motor here, the Torque Tune motor left over from another project, and I plan to use this motor, and I think this motor is going to work quite nice with this car. Alright, so the gearbox now is complete and mounted here on the chassis. Now I plan to actually use this car as a runner. So I have oil in the shocks, grease in the gearbox, and it is ready to go. Alright, so moving on to the front of the car, you can see I have the front suspension and the steering arms installed here. Alright, so let's move on and start installing the servos. So the front servo now is installed, and it's probably going to be a good time for me to check out this battery pack and see if it still holds a charge. Now if it doesn't hold a charge, I'm going to have to find another way to power this car. So we'll just do a dry run here. Now I've got this little receiver here, which is not going to be able to be mounted here, so I'm thinking I'm probably just going to double-sided tape it there. Okay, so I've tested the battery pack out now, and I've discovered that it does not hold a charge anymore. So I need to find out another way to power the Super Champ now. So what I propose to do is I've cut this case in half, and you can see the old battery pack here. And what we're going to do is remove the existing pack. Now this battery pack originally was 1200 milliamps. Now I found this replacement battery pack, and this one is actually 1100 milliamps, which is very close to what the original pack was. So I'm simply going to install this here with some double-sided tape, put the case back on. So we have both servos now installed. There's the receiver installed and the on and off switch, and I have the battery retainer thing under here as well. So let's fire it up now for the first time and see what happens. Okay, so it switches on, steering. Okay, so it all works quite nicely. So what I'm going to do now is going to neaten up this wiring a bit and keep going. Okay, so we've got brand new tyres on the car now. We've got the front and rear tyres. I've got everything installed, ready to go. Battery pack's ready to go. There's nothing more to do now on this car. So let's move on to the body now. Okay, so the time now has come to start looking at fixing this body now. So before I start stripping anything down, the first thing I did was I got a two-part epoxy, and I have glued back the two broken sides of this body. Now I'm going to let this sit for about 48 hours for it to completely go off, and then we'll just strip everything back and hit it with some undercoat. So I have undercoated the body now, and I am getting ready for doing the top coat. I'm going to let this go off, give it a bit of a rub down, hit it with the top coat. Now I have managed to find some reproduction stickers for the Super Champ. These stickers are pretty cool. They're actually pre-cut already. All you have to do is just pull them off and stick them on. Alright, so I have finally finished the Super Champ now, and here it is. You can see that the top coat that I applied was a metallic charcoal, and it has come up quite nice indeed. I'm very happy with the results of the paint job, and you can see the reproduction decals on here as well. So the only thing left to do with this bad boy now is to take it out the back and give it a test run.